Hi everyone, welcome back to Poised for Making, a place where I make it happen and hopefully inspire you to do the same. I've got a little bit of a lighter episode for you today, but it's going to include things other than knitting, so stay tuned. So today's make of the day is my Bernie sweater. It is done. Well, the knitting is done. I do not like weaving in ends. It's so tedious and time consuming, and I just think it's boring. But with all this color work, there are lots of yarn tails that need woven in. So I'll get around to that. But once they are woven in, I will have a very amazing sweater. I love how it turned out. I've tried it on. The fit is good. So all that's left is to weave in the ends, and I just can't bring myself to do it. So once I get that rolling, then I will have a lovely completely finished sweater, and I will try to insert a photo of it on. So let's talk about modifications. I knit the second smallest size. I think it was like for a 36-inch bust, I think. And I worked all of it like as written, except for the body I made longer than suggested. I think it said like 4 inches, and that's just not really my style, so I did 7-ish before I started the chart for the bottom pattern. So I did all that, and then I realized I did not like the neckline, and this is a top-down sweater. So I ripped from the top, ripped back, ripped down. I don't really know how to describe what I did. Basically, I ripped until the top point of these little diamonds here, and redid the short row shaping on the back and made a thinner neckline. So this is just like, I think 5 rows of ribbing instead of whatever the pattern called for. I don't even remember. But taking out that extra like fabric from the chart and the extra rows of ribbing helped a lot to just kind of bring the neckline down and make it fit my shoulders and my neck better. So that helped a lot. And then the sleeves, I did a couple of rounds of my main color before I did the cuffs. Again, the pattern calls for you to go like right into the cuff from the like split for the sleeves and the body, going top down. But I just wanted a little more of a sleeve, so I did, I think, 10 rounds of the main color, and then I did the cuff. Something to note also is I did a different cuff for the sleeves than I did for the neckline and the bottom hem. The neckline and the bottom hem are both 1x1 ribbing on smaller needles, but the sleeves I did kind of a garter stitch thing with smaller needles. So with my second color, I knit 1 row, purled 1 row, knit a row, purled a row, and then knit / bound off. So that's kind of how that turned out. No particular reason why. This is less stretchy, and it doesn't come in quite as much, so it's not gonna squish my arms, and I like that. And I just think it looks cleaner with a thinner like edging, I guess you could say, because I really want the attention to be on this amazing color work I did, and not so much on like if my arms look weird. So that's what I chose to do for that, and I think those modifications helped a lot. If I made this again, which honestly I might, I do like this pattern, I like how it turned out. That's the back, oops. I think if I made this again, of course I would start out doing the neckline the way that I ended with. So I would do a couple rows of ribbing, skip the first couple rows of the chart, and go right into the back shaping, the back neck shaping, and then the diamond sort of motif here, and then work the chart from there. I think that would work a lot better for me personally. So yes, but in general, I'm very happy with it. The yarn I used so many different types of yarn. They have all different fiber content, all different names. I can't remember them all, but they are all linked in my Ravelry project page for this sweater, and I have dubbed this sweater the Very Berry Bernie, because it is inspired by Bernie Sanders. That's what the pattern is, but then I did it in some fun colors that remind me of like raspberries and blueberries and blackberries. So I just thought that was a fun name. Anyway, so the Very Berry Bernie is done. Asterisk. It will be soon. Next is another project that I did not feel like weaving in the ends. So I had a little bit of the purple, dark purple yarn left over from the Bernie sweater, and you may remember I used this dark purple yarn for the collar of my last cardigan as a contrast color in this sweater, and I still had some left over from the 2 skeins I bought. So I decided to make a hanging basket for a little plant. Again, I will pop in a photo of what it looks like with a plant in it. So I was able to use up the rest of my dark purple, and then I used some green just that I had in my stash. And this is actually a crochet pattern, so that was kind of a new and fun adventure. And I like how it turned out. It looks a little wonky just by itself, but I promise, like on a wall with a plant, it looks really nice. I really like it. And again, I didn't want to weave in my ends when I finished it, so I just kind of stuck them in there and put a plant over top, and they've just sort of flattened into the bottom of the planter, and I'm not that worried about it. Now for makes on the way. First off, very late one night, I came up with an idea for a crop top, racer back, tank top situation. And then the next day I did some experimenting, some gauge swatches, and now I am working on a pattern kind of my own design. It's hard to explain the idea that's in my head, but basically it's going to be a tank top, pretty simple, with just like a square neckline, nothing too fancy, but the back will have a panel going up of a contrasting color that has cables, and then the cables at the top will separate and become the straps. Again, that might not make a whole lot of sense. I'm not sure it makes sense to me, but I came up with kind of a schematic, and then I used my gauge swatch that I made with these needles and some yarn from my stash. Did some quick maths, and I'm kind of following this for now, and we'll see how it goes. But that's what I'm doing. That's what this is. And for now, it's just stockinette worked flat, which I try to avoid at all costs, but I need a nice edge for the construction that I want to do. So it's a lot of knitting, a lot of purling. Nothing super exciting just yet. But if it comes together, I think it's going to be really, really awesome. That's the only thing I've really been knitting on. The other thing I'm doing is new for me. Went down a rabbit hole on YouTube like you do, saw some pine trees on campus, and I decided I wanted to try my hand at making a pine needle basket. So this is my little pine needle basket. This is the bottom. You can see where I started my little coil, and I've been stitching around and around and around, and now I'm starting to go up to make it into a basket and not a coaster. This is actually the back side of the work, and it'll eventually become the inside of the bowl. So this side I think looks neater. It has like a cool seashell swirly pattern. So like I said, this is a new adventure for me. I've never tried this before. I watched a lot of tutorials. I'll link a very helpful one below. And then I also watched a documentary on kind of the origins of pine needle basket weaving and coil basketry in general. It is traditionally a Native American art form, but also just something that a lot of Native American people used in a practical way. So as part of that, I would like to include the land acknowledgement that Ohio State has. I am filming on Ohio State property, which is part of some ancestral land for a couple of tribes. So I want to take some time to acknowledge those folks that inspired this craft and my sort of modern take on it. I'm very excited about this. It's been really cool learning about the materials that people used, the techniques they used, the challenges they faced, everything like that. I am just using, like I said, pine needles from a tree here on campus, and then some embroidery floss and an embroidery needle, and a straw as my little gauge. Again, I'll link a tutorial and I'll link the documentary. But I am really excited. My plan is to hopefully make this more of like a cup, and less of like a basket. I want to be able to put silverware in here, like stand it up and have my silverware in here that I use. But we'll see how far I get before I get frustrated or run out of pine needles or mess up. But for now, that's a fun new adventure, fun challenge for me personally, and I am really enjoying it. I definitely am not good at this yet. Like, I can feel how flexible it is. Like, I did not do it tight enough, I don't think. I don't know. But I'm enjoying it. That's what matters. It looks cool. That's a bonus. So I will keep you updated on my pine needle basket cup storage adventure. And that is all that I have for this episode. Been kind of in a lull lately, I would say. I've had a lot of papers and tests these past few weeks. It's midterm season that like just ended, and now it's getting close to final season, which makes no sense. But this academic year in general has made no sense. But I am hoping that once this semester is over in May, I will be able to bring a lot more content, hopefully some more finished objects. I'll be home with a lot more yarn and a lot more free time. So I am very much looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I will do my best to keep making it happen. And once again, hopefully inspiring you to do the same. So thank you for sticking around for me for this little bit. And have a great making adventure of your own.